You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Hello, and welcome to a special edition of GHS-TV's award-winning talk show, Crosstalk. I'm your host, Rachel Christopherson. Our setting here in the Popper Pike Playhouse is fitting for today's show. We are honored to be joined by a Broadway and Hollywood talent agent who is a pioneer in her field. For the next half hour, Nancy Carson is sitting down with us to talk about her rise to the top, her advocacy for young performers, and tips for breaking into the business. Please welcome Nancy Carson, owner of the Carson Adler Agency. Ms. Carson, thank you for taking the time to talk with us today.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I wanted to start off talking about what you do and your rise to the top. And I found it so interesting that your children were child actors.
Yeah, my daughter especially. My other two children sort of followed along and did some, but my daughter was the one who was really highly motivated to do it.
Can you talk about that experience?
Well, yeah, she was doing local theater. She had always loved doing this sort of thing, and we lived not far from a community theater that was one step up from community theater. And she would go over there on her bike and do whatever she could do just to be there. And she started performing there, and one of the directors was a gentleman from New York, Mark Lemura, who was on All My Children for years and years. And she did a play called Wait Until Dark for them there, and he came to me afterwards and he said, "I think your daughter needs to be working professionally." And I basically said, "Over my dead body." I had no interest in having my child be a child performer. I thought that it was unhealthy and all of that. And she did what little girls at that age do. She cried all night and said, "You don't understand, this is what I want more than anything else in the world." And so I reluctantly said, "Okay, but I get to say stop at any point." And she started doing it, and I realized that the people who were working with children at that time really didn't get children. They sort of did it in addition to everything else that they did to older people, and it was sort of all kids over there. And I thought, there really is a need for someone who likes children and young adults and young people to do this. And I'd run Girl Scouts and Cub Scouts and taught Sunday school and that sort of thing. And I'd studied elementary ed, although I never actually worked in it because I was married right away. So I talked my way into an agency. I basically convinced them to hire me for a percentage of the percentage, no salary. And I guess the rest is history. It worked. 4 years later, we quadrupled the business of the agency, and I was on my way, and I ended up partnering with someone and starting an agency, and that was 36 years ago.
Well, how does one become a talent agent? Are there classes or certifications?
I guess you talk their way in, like I did. I mean, there really aren't. You do have to work under an agent to learn how to do it. I think if I had it to do over again, I might study law. I think that would have helped. Now, at this point, I know all the contracts and I know how to negotiate, but it took me a while to learn that sort of thing. So that part of it, the legal part of it, I think you need to know. But mostly you just intern and work under another agent and learn the ropes.
Well, you own the Carson Adler Agency. What obstacles, if any, did you face while trying to get your company off the ground?
Oh, well, I walked in a room full of agents and I looked very different from the rest of them. So right there, I mean, most of the agents who owned their own business at that point were men. I just looked like a mother from New Jersey. I didn't look like an agent. So that was sort of an obstacle. But by working with young people, I wasn't threatening to them, because that wasn't really what they wanted to be doing. So it's okay, she's just with the kids over there, well, that's fine. You like those kids, you work with the kids, right? So that kind of gave me an entree, and it was okay.
Well, you do work a lot with child actors. Why was it important for you to represent them?
Well, as I said, I saw my daughter doing it, and I felt that people weren't really getting the children who did this. Unlike children who do commercials or modeling, children who want to act are a separate field, and even young adults. I work a lot with people right out of college, up through their 20s. It's a specialized field, I believe, and there are things to take into consideration, especially with children. Education was important. When I first started in the business, they weren't requiring tutors on any of the national tours. Kids kind of had to fend for themselves, or it turned out when I put people on tour and I said, well, what about teaching? They said, well, we'll teach them if you find a tutor that'll go along, but that was a lot. You know, I felt like we needed to get a requirement that said that kids had to be tutored. A lot of needs for children, you know, that just weren't being addressed, and I felt that it was important to address them.
Well, you also advocate for non-traditional casting, paving the way for people of diverse ethnicities and
Yes.
genders to play certain roles.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Can you talk about this movement in the industry?
Well, now, of course, diversity is everything. But when I was first doing it, it was very traditional. And as a matter of fact, Martin Chardon, who was basically the father of Annie, the creator, he and Charles Strauss and Tom Meehan, the initial company of Annie was all white little girls. And I said, Martin, you don't have any children of color. You don't have any black kids in the company. And he said, well, you know, the orphanages were traditionally Caucasian. They were segregated. And I said, it's a show, Martin. And so I finally convinced him, and Jodie Ford was the first African-American orphan in Annie, and Melissa Betancourt was the first Spanish orphan in Annie, and they were both my clients. Same with Les Mis. I again said, you know, you don't know who her father is. Why does she have to be white? And so, again, we did that, and then we talked about the understudy for Gavroche, and I was able to get a girl as the second understudy for Gavroche, and I had the first girl who did that too. So yeah, why not? I love breaking barriers.
With so many clients performing on stage, do you ever go see them in their professional shows?
All the time. Are you kidding? That's the icing on the cake. I get them the job, and then I get to see them do it. That's so exciting, of course.
Well, how do you ensure that each young talent turns into a unique artist?
I encourage my kids to be who they are and be proud of who they are. And don't try to be a cookie cutter of somebody. Even in singing, if they come in and they sing a song and they sing it just like their favorite pop singer sings it, I said, that's not you. You're being whoever it is that they're interpreting. I say, find yourself, find your voice, find what you sound like. And that's what's going to make you different.
Well, Miss Carson, we've got to pause for a moment. When we come back, we'll discuss why Miss Carson is here in Memphis and what she's looking for in the next rising star.
This place, it's extremely unique.
You are pushed to do things that you didn't know you could do because someone else saw it in you.
If you're with us for your whole 4 years here at GHS, you get a great foundation of amazing classes.
Try the priest.
The approach we take to whether it's the fall play or the spring musical is that the students are truly the ones that are making the magic happen.
Tell all the people.
You put the work in off and on stage. Not only are you on stage acting and playing a part, you're working, you're pricking your fingers, sewing the costumes. You're learning how to make exotic makeup designs. You're learning how to build the set that you're going to be planted on.
And as you grow with us within the program, your skills continue to develop, and we build off your previous knowledge. And hopefully by the time you graduate, you're a well-rounded professional in a way, and you can move into any area that you'd like after high school and succeed.
For more information about the Kappa program, visit ghskappa.com or call 755-7775. You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Welcome back to Crosstalk. Nancy Carson, a New York talent agent, is in town looking for the next big star. We were lucky enough to catch her during her whirlwind tour of Memphis. Ms. Carson, thank you for sticking around and continuing the discussion.
Oh, fun. I love it.
Well, I want to talk about why you're in Memphis. You're looking for the next big star.
Well, you never know where you're going to find them, you know? Yes. Who knows what I'm going to see tomorrow?
Well, what do you like about judging these type of competitions?
I love seeing the kids get a chance to do what they love doing. And you can see the ones who love doing it. You can see the ones whose parents love having them do it. They're not as crazy about it, but it's really easy to spot the one that drags their parents in there and they just love doing it. So,
when you're judging, is it difficult to choose a standout from the bunch, or is there usually a clear winner?
sometimes it's difficult, sometimes it's very difficult. Because you have to remember that tomorrow I'm going to be looking at a wide range of ages. And so what's a standout in a small child, 9, 10, might not be as big a standout if a child who was 18 or 20 did, a young person, 18 or 20, who's had more training and more of everything. So you really have to kind of judge each one individually against what the criteria would be for that age. And then, you know, look at the overall picture. But yeah, it's hard sometimes.
Well, what all do you look for during these competitions?
I look for kids who want to do it. That's the first thing I look for, is that spark in their eye that they really want to do it. They really, this is where they want to be, this is where they belong, and they know it.
Well, have you ever signed a client based off of seeing them in a competition?
Oh, I'm sure I have, yes. Yeah, this is how I find people, other than people referring people to me.
Well, you've represented a lot of well-known names. Can you talk about some of them?
Well, locally, I represented Britney Spears, who studied with Bob Westbrook for a long time. I met Bob through Britney. I didn't meet Britney through Bob, but I met Bob through Britney. I represented Ben Affleck and Matt Damon and Donald Faison, Matt LeBlanc, Ben Stiller, Cynthia Nixon, who I'm very excited because she's running for governor of New York. I don't know if you know that, but I represented her, Ariana Grande, Lea Michele, Kristen Bell, a lot of names.
What is it that you saw in these stars that separate them from everyone else?
Well, I didn't know they were going to be stars, but I knew they were special. I knew Britney was special from the minute I met her. She was this quiet, shy, polite, Southern little girl who said, "Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am." And when she started singing, it was like you turned a key, and she turned into what we think of as Britney Spears. She was really special. Matt Damon was an amazing actor from the day I met him. He was really talented. Ben Affleck brought him to me. Ben was sent to me by a casting director in Boston, and then he came and he said, "My friend wants to do this too, would you meet him?" And that was Matt. So that's how I had Ben and Matt.
Well, how do you work with clients to find the right roles?
You get to know the client, so when the role comes up, you go, "Oh, that's perfect for so-and-so." We went by Sun Studios today, and I had a couple of people do a show called $1 Million Quartet. I don't know if you've heard about it, but it's about when the 4 pop singers got together at Sun Studios all those years ago. And I've had a couple of clients do $1 Million Quartet. And you know, I have a Jerry Lee Lewis who is amazing. He's done it 4 or 5 times. He plays keyboards like that, he sings like that. So anytime I see something like that, I go, oh, that's Jason Cohen, he can do that in a minute. On the other hand, Stephanie Mason played Elvis's girlfriend on the national tour, and now she's doing the Yiddish Fiddler on the Roof in New York. So, you know, she's versatile. She can do a bunch of different things, you know.
Well, I'm sure it's heartbreaking when a client doesn't get cast for a part. How do you keep up their morale?
When I start working with a client, I try to help them understand that if they were in any other business, any other field, there wouldn't be just one winner. There wouldn't be just one first prize. If they were in the Olympics and they were gymnasts, there'd be the gold medal and the silver medal and the bronze medal. In our business, there's only the gold medal. But we still have people who come in second or third who are just as good as the people who get the part. And they have to know if they're one of those people, that got really close, they're wonderful, they're great, they're perfect. They just, for some reason, weren't the person the director and the producer picked. Maybe they look like somebody the director hated in 5th grade. I mean, it could be something as dumb as that when you get down to 2, or they're 1 inch too tall. So you have to just keep the morale up by telling them, look at how well you're doing. I know that nobody else is going to care if you say, I almost got, but you know you almost got. And that's got to help you know that the next time you may be the one who gets it.
What's your favorite part about working with these young actors?
Seeing them succeed, seeing them get their dream come true. Sitting in the audience, you asked me if I went to see my performers, sitting in the audience and seeing them on stage and knowing that I helped them get there. Or going to the movies and seeing them and knowing that I helped them get that part, that I helped them find their dream.
Miss Carson, we've got to pause for a break. Up next, we'll learn Miss Carson's tips and tricks for auditions. Stay tuned.
We're running a 24-hour broadcast television station like no other school has done.
It is student run, it's student produced, it is student written, and it's student directed.
Here's to another 35 more years.
Students here get immersed in lots of different types of shows so that when they go out into the real world or to college, if this is what they want to pursue, they are so prepared.
Those lessons have also affected me in the ways that I would never even imagine.
It has shown me to be different and to, not settle for mediocrity. When you're producing a show, you want your show to be the best one it can be. You want it to be, a show to remember, a show that you want to look back on and say, I did that.
Yes, I did do this. Did I believe that I could do this? No, but because of all the support that I gained, I know that I can actually get this done.
I know that the skills I've learned here is something I'm never going to forget, and same with the experiences here.
From all of us here at GHS-TV, have a great day.
For more information about the Kappa program, visit ghskappa.com or call 755-7775. You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Welcome back to Crosstalk. I'm Rachel Christopherson. All show we've been talking with Nancy Carson, a talent agent from New York City. Her book, Raising a Star, is a guide for parents with kids looking to break into show business. Let's continue our discussion. Miss Carson, your book, Raising a Star, The Parent's Guide to Helping Kids Break into Theater, Film, Television, or Music, is such an informative how-to book. What inspired you to write this?
I thought that people needed to know how to do it right. Not people necessarily in New York, but the people in smaller cities around the country or small towns who had children who wanted to do this. And I felt often they thought that putting their kids in pageants, going to dance schools where they do big recitals and stuff, that was a way to get into show business. And I wanted them to know how to do it and do it right and not spend too much money, because fake screen tests that cost $1,000 are just fake screen tests, and somebody's making $1,000. That's not how you do it. I'll tell you a little secret. I didn't want to call the book Raising a Star, and I had a big fight with the publisher, St. Martin's Press, about what to call it. I wanted to call it How to Be a Stage Mother Without Being a Stage Mother, because I really think that's what it's about. St. Martin's really basically said, if you want us to publish your book, we're going to call it Raising a Star. Because I think that that's a misnomer. It's not really about raising a star, it's about how to have your child do this and do it right and still be good parents.
Will you start the book listing qualities of successful young performers? Can you talk about some of these?
Oh wow, it's been a long time, but I don't imagine they've changed. I mean, I want a winning personality. I want a look that isn't necessarily beautiful, but I usually say, you know how sometimes you're on a plane or you're on a train and there's a child you just can't take your eyes off of? That's the kind of child we're talking about. Just a young person with or even a young adult with a magical quality that you will be willing to watch for 2 hours. Because remember, if you go to a Broadway show, it's roughly 2 hours long. You go to a movie, it's roughly 2 hours long. So you're going to have to want to watch that person for that length of time. It helps if they look young for their age. It helps if they are verbal, they speak clearly. It helps if they're kind of small in size. I'm not saying that everybody I have is small, but the camera does put size on you. It puts weight on you and puts size on you. And if you're small, you'd be surprised how many major stars are small. It works on camera. It helps if you're a good reader, although you don't have to be. I've represented a number of people who have dyslexia and that sort of thing and have to memorize. Donald Faison, who, you know, was a star of Scrubs and all sorts of things. We always had to get the script ahead, and he always memorized it because he had some reading issues. But that does help to read well. If they sing, they've got to sing on pitch. They don't have to be well trained. They can learn to sing correctly, but they've got to have the ear to hear when they're singing the correct notes. If they dance, they have to be well trained and dancing. It's not the number of steps, but the way they do them, the way they handle their body. Remind me, is there some more that I said in the book? I can't. You should have told me to look and remember those qualities that I wrote about. But yeah, I think that covers a lot of them. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, you have said, I want the kid that drags his parent into the office, not the other way around.
Absolutely.
What exactly do you mean by this?
I mean, I want all right, again, I'll tell you a story. I represent a young man whose parents are from India, and they're research physicists, I believe, at Yale University Hospital. He found me on the internet, called me up, got his parents to bring him to my office to meet me. They had nothing to do with the entertainment industry. He walked through the door, looked on the wall, and said, "Oh, you had somebody in spelling bee?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Who?" I said, "Celia Keita Bolger." He said, "She was nominated for a Tony." He was 9 years old. I said, "How do you know that?" He said, "I go on the internet." That's the child I want.
Well, you prefer an actor who has natural talent over one who is trained. Why?
If you're talking about, I mean, I do like training. They have to have good voice training. They have to have good dance training. And, but I want them to be natural actors, not anybody can get reasonably good on a monologue if you work hard enough on it. I want a child that can find and put themselves into a situation with a script and draw on themselves to do the script, and then they can learn to do it more correctly. But I want the child who's able to become someone else.
Well, you dedicate a whole chapter in your book to how parents can help their children succeed. What are some of these things?
Oh, you're really making me go back. I wrote that 7 years ago. Well, I think that being a good parent is the most important thing. Let the agent be the agent. You be a good parent. Make sure your child gets where they're supposed to be on time. Make sure that they're dressed appropriately. Make sure they get enough sleep. Make sure they eat properly. Just be a good parent. And the child has the talent. Make sure that they're prepared with their script. Make sure that you give them time so that you haven't dragged them all over the place so they to do other things and they don't have time to work on the script. Basically give them the support you would give them with schooling as well.
I want to touch on representation. When is it time to start looking for someone?
When your child tells you, when someone who isn't going to benefit from telling you that your child is talented. In other words, I say in the book, if your dance teacher is raising their rates and they tell you how talented your child is and they're trying to get you to take more classes, that's not appropriate. If grandma says the child is hugely talented, that isn't appropriate. But when the parents of another child who was in the show with your child come to you and say, your child is really good, have you ever thought about letting them do something else? That's time, when you hear it from people who have nothing to gain by telling you.
Well, let's touch on the audition process. What should people know when going into an audition?
To be themselves. When starting with their picture, this isn't a picture that you're going to take that grandma's going to hang on a wall or put on the piano. This is a picture that looks just like you, that looks like your hair is going to look when you walk in the door, that looks like the person that walks through the door. If the casting director takes a look at the picture, they're looking like that, looking at you, look at the picture, you don't look like your picture. That's not the person they thought they were going to see. So first of all, you want to be the person that they think they're going to see. You have to be prepared, relax, focus on what you're doing. Don't let nerves get the best of you. Let them work for you. And don't sit in the outer office and hide in the corner. Be friendly to other people. They're there because they're a lot like you, because they're going up for the same thing. So get to know them. You know, they're not evil people. You're all going for the same. If you walk in a room and everybody in the room doesn't look like you, you're in the wrong room.
What is the most important thing for people to remember throughout all the yeses and nos in audition rooms?
Feel good about yourself when you walk out the door. Feel like whether you get it or not, it was a good experience, and then forget about it. Forget about it and go on to the next one. Don't stress, because you're going to have lots and lots and lots and lots of auditions. And some will work out, most won't. You're going to go to 20 or 30 that you won't get anything before you get something.
Well, Ms. Carson, thank you for taking the time to talk with us today.
Oh, thank you.
I know as an actor myself, I've learned a lot today.
Have you? Good.
Enjoy the rest of your time in Memphis.
Thank you. Thank you.
I hope today's peek into the talent agent industry was as informative and enlightening for you as it was for me. Remember, Crosstalk can be seen each week at 9:30 a.m. and 7 p.m. on Mondays and Thursdays, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2 a.m., and 12 p.m. and 7 p.m. on Sundays. For more information on our programming, please check us out on the web at GHS-TV.org, where we are streaming live 24 hours a day. You can also check us out on Facebook and Twitter. I'm Rachel Christopherson. From all of us at GHS-TV, thank you for watching Crosstalk, and I hope to see you again.